Oh, so last thing we learned right in the middle of Kiddush over here. The last thing that we learned was that the person who makes Kiddush has to be over bar mitzvah. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah. The last thing we met was if someone passes you the wine.
Oh, that's the last thing we did. If it hasn't passed you the wine, then if the person's drunk from the wine who made Kiddush, then you can pass it on. And if not, then you need to drink it without passing it on. Good. Okay, what do we do? What kind of cup can you use to make Kiddush with?
Well, it has to hold a certain amount of liquid, right?
Oh, that's for sure. No, that's down the road. You're in the wrong seminary right now. So the cup, first of all, it needs to be something which is complete. It shouldn't be chipped, it shouldn't be cracked, and it should be completely clean. So some people have the custom to rinse out the cup right before Kiddush just to make sure that it's got nothing inside of it. The wine should be poured straight into the becher right before you make Kiddush. So you should not pour out the wine and then wait and wait and wait and wait. Right? So if you know that it's going to take a little while for everybody to get themselves ready and to get themselves into place, so you should wait and let everybody get themselves at the table before you start pouring the wine into the becher. And the wine should be filled up to the top. Sorry, the cup should be filled up to the top.
What does up to the top really mean? Because everybody always...
That's an interesting question, because up to the top could, according to some opinions, it means that up to the top so that when you pick it up, it spills over a little bit. That's what's called... One second, we'll get to it. That's called...
It's supposed to spill.
That's what's called a... He's English.
What does he say?
It's too messy for him.
It's too messy.
Spilling.
English are very, very clean, very orderly people. Go watch a football game, you'll see. Yeah. Really. When I got engaged, so we went back to London to meet my parents and family and make an engagement party. And my wife had never been to England before, so everyone told her before we left, "Oh, you're going to love it. London is very sophisticated. It's very cultured." So we get on the underground the first day, what you people call the
subway.
The subway,
the
right?
T in Boston.
Well, everything comes back to the T in Boston, doesn't it? So we get onto this train on the subway on the underground, and we're sitting there trying to get down into town so that we can do some sightseeing. And so there was an international football game that was going on. So a whole bunch of English supporters get onto this train, and they are, with whatever you can imagine in your mind, plus worse than that. They were, with their boots and beer and cursing and swearing and their skinheads. And
they had beer before the game instead of after.
Oh no, they're not. They're really not particular. The British, before, during, after.
I'm just saying, beer would be gone by after.
It's now illegal.
No, you get more.
Ah.
Oh really? Oh well, it wasn't then anyway. So, there was there was about 10 or 12 of them. There was quite a sizable bunch, and I thought we were going to die. Actually, I really did. They come on, they're swearing and they're pushing and they're shoving and they're looking. You can see they're looking for a fight. And I thought we were going to die. And anyway, Baruch Hashem, they had to get off the train to get onto another line. So they get off the train, and we sort of we start breathing again. And then my wife looks at me and she says, cultured, sophisticated. So that's English, cultured and sophisticated. There's more to it than that. No, he's right, it's true. There's also throwing rolls of toilet paper onto the football pitch. What else do they do?
There's life in England beyond the football hooliganism.
Actually, it is true. In the summer, they have cricket hooliganism. When people pour too much lemonade into the Pims or something, it's like completely out of control. Yeah, for sure, but it's completely out of control. Anyway, the idea is like this. When you fill up your cup to make Kiddush, you're filling up something called a kos shel bracha, which means a cup of blessing, right? It should be, now, cups of blessing should be your, there's a phrase, I don't know if I have it in English, but in Hebrew, that your cup of blessing should overflow. They probably have that in English as well, I would have thought, don't they?
Yeah.
Right? Your blessings should overflow. It's a sign of goodness. It's a sign of affluence, and that's where the custom comes from. Now, some people are of the opinion that you can't do it deliberately because there is a halacha which says bar tashchis, you're not allowed to waste things. You're not allowed to waste food, not allowed to waste drink. So what some people do is that they'll fill the cup up to the top with the knowledge, that most people, their hands shake a little bit, right? So when they pick it up, they know that it's going to spill over a little bit, but it's not, you haven't deliberately spilled over the top. Right? You know the one about the fellow goes to the doctor, he says, doctor, he says, look at my hands. So the doctor says, my goodness, he says, do you drink a lot? He says, no, he says, hardly anything at all. Careful. Did you bring a bib with you?
If you use a plate or saucer or something
Is that
to catch what
Max's
spills,
Yeah.
you can then use that wine. It's
Yeah,
not-
yeah. Anyway, so some people don't like to have the wine spill over the top because it gets their fingers dirty and sticky. And, that's an uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah, you should
And
feel
the
like
truth of the matter is it's fine because normally you're going to make Kiddush and then you're going to wash your hands anyway for Hamoitzi afterwards. So it's not the end of the world. You'll only be sticky for a few moments. However, if you really, do feel that it's bothering your appreciation and enjoyment of the Sabbath by having sticky fingers, then so fill it up as far to the top as you can get without it, going to spill over the top.
So can I ask then, in terms of the cup, should it be, does it matter if it's got a stem or if it doesn't have a stem? Because some people have just a regular cup.
Yeah.
Some people have a
So
stem.
it doesn't
Could use a
make
plastic
any
cup.
halachic difference what you use. What does matter is how you hold the cup. Now it's interesting when have you seen cups that they've got like a leg, a stem,
Yeah.
right?
A stem.
Like a
yeah.
wine
A
glass.
stem,
Yeah.
like a wine glass, yeah.
That's
So according to some people, what's the idea? When you hold the cup, you're supposed to hold the cup like this, right? Now, if you've got a cup without a stem, that's easy. You just hold it on the bottom,
Yeah.
right? If you've got a cup with a stem, the question is where to hold it.
Yeah.
According to
That's
some
true.
people, you hold it down at the bottom. You've got the stem, and then you've got like a little base at the bottom so that it can stand. So according to some people, holding it on the bottom means holding it over there.
Right.
According to other people, though, the stem is only there for decorative purposes, and therefore you should hold the cup. Put the stem in between your fingers like that, and hold the cup like that with the stem sticking out from underneath.
They're obviously not very cultured.
That's for sure. Or they're so cultured that they're just streets ahead of everybody else. However, again, does it make any difference? It doesn't make any difference. Whatever you do is going to be correct. Right? Just that you should know you might see it being done like this in somebody's house and being done in a different way in somebody else's house.
So holding it like that is not okay.
Holding it like that is not the correct way to hold it. It should be held at the bottom.
Is the overflowing and the way you hold it, are these minhags or halacha?
Well, again, overflowing is a minhag. The way that you hold it is really halacha. It should be held at the bottom. That really is halacha. The fact that the wine should be filled up to the top of the cup is also halacha. But there is room for negotiation, right? What's the top? Whether visually it just needs to be at the top, whether it needs to be over the top. Now, it's interesting. You asked, is it okay to make Kiddush on a plastic cup? So in theory it is. Again, if the plastic cup's not cracked and it's not chipped, and I don't think you can chip plastic cups, can you? But whatever. I mean, so long as it's okay, even plastic disposable cups, in theory, are okay to make Kiddush over. However, there is a concept which has got not just to do with Kiddush, but it goes across the board of Zeh Keli V'Anvehu, that this is my God and I will beautify him. The Gemara talks about what is Zeh Keli V'Anvehu. What does that mean? This is my God and I will beautify him. By taking the requirements and turning them into something more beautiful than the simple requirement, right? So, for example, if you ever wondered where Judaica comes from, the concept of Judaica, all these kind of silver things that we've got, silver Kiddush cups and silver candelabra and silver menorahs and silver estrog box holders and all that kind of, first of all, it's an enormous industry nowadays, right? But where does it come from? It comes from the idea of Ze keli v'amveu. It's true that I can make Kiddush over a plastic cup. I could make Kiddush over a wooden cup, right? I could make Kiddush over a pottery cup that I made myself. However, the concept of Ze keli v'amveu is that I'm going to take this mitzvah, I'm going to beautify it, I'm going to embellish the mitzvah, right? And that means that I can take silver instead of plastic, for example, or instead of ceramic. Yeah, and I can that way I'm beautifying the mitzvah. Now again, you have to understand: can I fulfill the mitzvah by using a ceramic cup? Yes, of course you can, right? Like I said before, you can even fulfill your obligation by using a disposable plastic cup. Am I beautifying the mitzvah by using something that's more expensive than that? Yes, I am. Which means I'm embellishing the mitzvah. The mitzvah itself is going to be done in whatever cup you decide to use. It's going to be done. That's Kiddush has taken care of, right? However, in order to turn it into something more beautiful than it would have been otherwise, that's where the silver Kiddush cup comes from.
I never would have thought of this if you hadn't listed all these different materials, but could you just cup your hands?
No, it's got to be inside of something. It's got to be inside of a kli, some kind of a vessel. But again, I mean, aside from that, it could really be anything, right?
What about a plastic cup? Today, they beautify it to look like a regular.
Yeah, it's interesting. You got a Kiddushin, right? So people don't like to bring silver cups to Kiddushin because very often these things tend to get lost. So what I've noticed over the last couple of years is that they've started introducing silver-looking plastic Kiddush cups. Right now, is that embellishing? Yeah, I guess it's certainly better than just a regular disposable plastic cup. So if you can't afford a silver cup, you can afford a silver plastic silver-like cup. Then I guess it would be correct to buy something like that. Silver plate, which of course is a lot less expensive.
Like glass,
silver.
If it's like being decorated.
Glass as well. Yeah, I know somebody who likes to use a glass Kiddush cup on a crystal glass Kiddush cup on Seder night to be able to see the color of the wine, the redness of the wine. The truth is that some crystal glasses are more expensive than most silver cups are going to be. If you want to buy yourself like a Lalique crystal wine glass, it will set you back who knows how much, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds, if not more. You really look like you were going to say something. You're waving your pen around.
No.
Desperately. No. Okay, no, fine. You can't do that. You get me excited like that. That's not fair. I really thought you were going to say something there. Next time, Imit Hashem, next time. But anyway, that's where that concept of Keli V'Amveu, that this is my God and I will beautify him, and embellishing mitzvahs is not just something which is particular to Kiddush, it runs across everything, right? I'll give you another example. Tefillin, when you buy tefillin, there are so many different levels of tefillin, but the best quality tefillin that a person can afford to buy, that's the equivalent of their Keli V'Amveu. I'm beautifying the mitzvah, right? Even though the tefillin may not look, substantially different from the tefillin that cost a lot less than that, but anybody who understands some of these things will be able to see what the differences are, and that way, the more you put into the mitzvah, the more money you put into the mitzvah, the greater its beauty is going to be. So the greater is the worth of that mitzvah up in the Shemayim. Right? So anyway, it's something that's worth doing. So a silver Kiddush cup, that's where it comes from. Interestingly, my parents, I don't know where it came from, but my parents had a rather beautiful and rather ornate wooden Kiddush cup, which they didn't use it every Shabbos. It was very, very finely sanded down, and it was covered with glaze, and it was actually, it was very, very beautiful. You could see the grain of the wood all the way through it and everything. It was quite a dark wood. Each to their own.
I've seen somebody use a silver Kiddush cup with a plastic inlay.
Why is that? Because silver and wine don't get on with each other. If you pour wine into silver, I don't know, something to do with I don't know exactly what the correct metallic phrases are, but there's something about silver and wine. It sets off a reaction, and that's why you'll see many people they gild the inside of their Kiddush cup. Gold doesn't do that to wine. Silver does. Something to do with the oxidization, I think. Did I say that right? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, in that instance, does the silver surround, or if you're just using like a plastic cup inside a silver cup, does the silver buffer need to be as like clean, unbroken, everything, or does the plastic cup have a requirement?
Good question. The emphasis is like this: does it need to be? Not really, because you're not using it as the cup. But it does, because everyone sitting around there at the Kiddush table doesn't know that. They're watching you make Kiddush out of this, this decrepit, cracked cup that's tarnished and dented and yeah. That's I get. Yeah, that would I think it would detract from the beauty of the mitzvah, even though you're not really using that silver Kiddush cup at all.
Yeah, then why are you using that cup?
It's a family heirloom.
Rabbi, what about Abdullah? Can you make Abdullah in a small plastic cup?
Or a
Or
regular
does it have
candle?
to have a...
Yeah, I've had an argument about the amount needed for Abdallah before.
You need to drink less wine at Havdalah than you do at Kiddush, but it still needs to be enough. If you're talking about like one of those little plastic shot glasses,
Yes.
then that's not enough. In Mitzvah Shem, we'll learn the figures, and we'll work it out, and we'll try to see. Maybe you should bring in like a cup or two and see what the differences are with.
What if you only have a regular candle for a dollar? No, it's not.
So what you can do is you can add a match to it. The Havdalah candle requires 2 wicks.
Oh, okay.
A minimum of 2 wicks, right? So if you've only got one regular candle is all you've got, but you've got some matches, so when you make the bracha, you can just add the match to the fire, to the wick, and then you've got 2 sources of...
Or if you only have birthday candles, you can use like 2 birthday candles?
Yeah, sure. Just not the ones that you can't blow out, though. You'll be there all week. Or even worse, the ones that sing when you light them. Happy birthday to you. Okay, that's that. We could be onto something here. We could make a business over here, right? Anyway, you people, of course, are jumping ahead, far ahead. We're not up to Havdalah. We're only on Kiddush on Friday night right now. So what do we do? Like with everything inside of Judaism, the halachas are detailed, right? Nothing is left up to chance. Everything has to be done in the correct way. How are you supposed to lift up? You've poured the wine into your cup. How are you supposed to lift it up now? So the way that the best way initially is to lift up the cup with both hands. Right? Again, it's showing our love of the mitzvah, that we want to utilize both our hands in order to lift it up with all of our strength. And then you take the left hand away from the cup, and you're left reciting, holding the cup in the right hand. Right? Is anybody here? I was just going to ask if anybody here is left-handed, but I can see that nobody is.
Ambidextrous.
If I were left-handed, though.
If you were left-handed, yes.
Don't, because it's stressing. There's so much. Every time I'm in the Siddur and I'm reading, do this in your right hand, this in your left hand. I have no idea what hand I'm supposed to be using. I need to like speak.
Oh wait,
to,
he is left-handed.
You need a left-handed to do it.
I need to speak to someone. I genuinely need to speak to someone about which hand I should be using, because in the Shema in the morning when I'm wearing my tefillin, it says that I need to hold my tzitzis in my left hand, but that means I can't kiss my tefillin because I wear my tefillin on my right hand.
Yes.
So if I hold them in the right hand, that means I can't place my right hand in front of my eyes to say Shema. So
I don't think Judaism is right for you. Let's find another place.
That's
so
right. Paralyzed with indecision.
I like don't know what to do. Like which hand? I need a.
I'm ambidextrous, but I still go to my thumb, my left.
See, I write with my left hand, so I wear.
Yeah, so halachic, the basic halachic rule of thumb about whether you're left-handed or right-handed is which hand you use to write with.
Yeah.
So Rabbi Moshe over here is an interesting fellow, but he writes with his right hand even though his left side is his stronger side. So that already, so fine. If you write with your right hand, then you're considered to be right-handed, and you should put your tefillin on your left hand. You, on the other hand, are degenerate and debauched and
Sinister.
There's no hope.
and English, and you write with your left hand. Therefore, you are left-handed, and that means that under normal circumstances, whatever it says, just swap it around. So when the Siddur is telling you for normative, natural people.
But it doesn't work.
Of course it does.
Neither do I.
Because it says hold your tzitzis in your left hand.
Yes.
So hold it in your right hand.
Okay, so I'm holding in my right hand, but then I need to kiss my tefillin. So which hand do I use to touch
At
my
a certain
tefillin?
point, you are supposed to switch.
Yeah.
them.
Listen, David, you're a big boy.
Yeah.
Now I think you can do both of these at the same time. I think you can. I really do.
What you will do is move it over.
Hashem gave you 2 feet, didn't he? Come on.
You can still have your sits on your
Yeah, but he
hands,
only
still
moves one
put
at a
it-
time.
Yeah.
though.
I don't know. Do I cover my hand for Shema? Do I
You should cover your hand with your left hand.
Really?
Yes, because your right hand is. You should cover your hand with your stronger hand.
Technically,
okay.
I'm
No, halacha.
No.
Don't. No, it's
With
got
the hand
nothing.
that you write
Nothing.
with.
It's got nothing to do with technicality. It's to do with halacha.
But I read for tefillin, it's different for other things. Like I'm stronger, my right side of my body is stronger. So if I was kicking a ball, I'd use my right foot, etc. So
Yeah, but you
do?
write with your right.
Stop
you
being
write
wrong
with
Here
about it.
again, but halachically, again, Nachamot, listen, Rabbi say, listen, watch my lips.
yeah,
Halachically, the basic definition of whether you are left or right-handed is to do with what you write with, not which foot you use to kick a ball with. So if you write
Why are you
with
trying
your
to write with your right hand?
so weird.
let's watch this.
No.
If you write with your left hand, then you should be putting your tefillin on your right hand, which is what you do, isn't it? No, good, finished, fine.
Cover my hand with my right.
You should cover your hand with a hand that doesn't have tefillin on
Yeah,
it.
maybe
Oh,
you should.
really? One more question. Can you shake hands? Because I mean, like, if I want to shakora,
Oh, you should shake hand with your right hand
even if
because
I'm wearing tefillin, it's still okay to shake hands.
That's
with
just a
someone?
social norm. It's not halacha.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
is it okay to like shake a hand if your hand is holding
No, I
tefillin?
yeah,
Okay, fine.
yeah.
So does that change his like rachum and din side? Like, should he put on his
No,
left
it's
shoe
it.
first?
No,
No.
I read that I should still put on my right
Shoes,
shoe.
you should still put on your right
but
shoe
tie the
first
left one first.
and tie the left one first, which is what everybody does.
Oh no, they said you should tie the
you
one
should-
first where you tie your tefillin, which means I
Right,
should
which is where that's
tie the right one.
that's where the custom comes from. So what is a
put
a
your right
left-handed
shoe
left-handed
first.
person
First sandal. Go barefoot.
a left-handed you read that you should
Put
put
on the
your
right
you
one
should put
first.
your right shoe on first regardless.
Yes, because it's your stronger foot. Is my stronger foot. But you should tie the shoe of which hand you wear.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't know. That's
I know
interesting.
it's the thing.
That's
Also,
weird.
I feel like
I
need
think
to
you're weird
be
actually.
walking
don't
backwards and
really
forwards
fast,
in
and then you
Shimon
fast the
Esrei
left one
as well.
before
I
the
need to
right
be using different feet or something.
I think so. These ones are no
Do you reckon
use.
there's a book available for left-handed people on like
Is it backwards?
Serious
Yeah,
question,
you could
is it?
write. You can write it. The complete art scroll guide to left-handed people.
I need
I
like
think
I need a
we're onto
halachas
a.
for left-handed.
I'm telling you, we're onto a. This is going to be like the biggest seller of our generation. I'm
Invented
telling you.
class
The
today.
Art Scroll left-handed version. That'd be really useful.
It's in Hebrew.
It's
Because
great.
it
It's a
goes-
great
it's
idea. It really
it's
is.
wrong.
Somebody needs to do it. You're right. Somebody needs to bring out a booklet just explaining to left-handed people. Because the truth is that there are times when you're supposed to change. There are times when you're not supposed to change. So I'll give you an example. You know, when a left-handed person is the chazan, and today there was Kriyat Torah. They took out the Sefer Torah and they laned, right? So the custom is that you put the Sefer Torah on your right shoulder. Now that's done, even if you're left-handed, you should put it on your right shoulder, because that's the way that the whole community does it. You're a part of the community, right? So it's true. I think it's a great idea. Somebody needs to write a booklet just defining
The
what a left-handed person is supposed to do, when he's supposed to do it, and what the difference
Do you
is.
know
in it.
that doesn't exist already?
Not that I know of.
How the lefty can make himself complete with our writing.
So if for Kiddush, back to Kiddush then, you said if there's a left-handed person.
Back to Kiddush, you should be holding the cup in your left hand
Really?
because that's your stronger hand.
Wow.
Right? Again,
I feel
halakhically.
natural holding in my left hand.
Well, that's because you're left-handed. And there's nothing natural
that's
about
supposed to
left-handed
be-
people.
But I'm picking my mug up in my right hand.
Yeah, what is wrong with you?
This is the thing, like I write with my left hand, but this is more comfortable than this.
Cameraman's not supposed to laugh.
So,
You know what? If I were you, being serious actually, if I were you, I would maybe go and speak to Rav Samet, who's down in the main office in the afternoons normally, like from 5 o'clock onwards. Because again, like I said before, the simple halachic definition of right-handed or left-handed is what you write with. What you're saying is that you write with your left hand, but you do everything else with your right side, which I don't know. Maybe that will change. Maybe that does change the halacha somewhere along the line. I'm not sure. A left-handed person, I've got a son-in-law who's left-handed, right? A left-handed person in general, if they're, that's their left side is their stronger side. So he makes Kiddush, he picks up the Kiddush cup with his left hand. Whatever, I mean, that's for whatever. You know what, and if you find out, let us know what you're told.
Yeah.
Anyway, in all events, right, why do we spend so much time on these non-normative, degenerate, left-handed people? I don't know. But
Last time.
what's the problem? What's the problem?
I'm a unique minority.
I'm not sure how you can be a unique minority.
As long as
If there's only you, then you're unique.
Extras.
If there's more like you, then you're a minority. But a unique minority, I'm not quite sure how that works.
So you can write in both hands comfortably.
No, no.
Yeah, I know what it is.
I can write with my right. That's where my power is.
Wait, if somebody's illiterate, then they're ambidextrous as well because they can't write with either hand. There you go. We've taken care of the problem. Anyway, when you come to make Kiddush, for the rest of us normals, when you come to make Kiddush, so you should lift the Kiddush cup up with your right hand. And if you are left-handed, you should lift it up with your left hand. Now, what you'll notice is that people that are making Kiddush, they hold the cup up. They normally hold it up a little bit higher from the table. It needs to be about a tefach between 4 and 6 inches above the height of the table. And when you're not using the bencher to read the Kiddush from, you should be looking at the wine. Right? You shouldn't be looking around the table. So you should, again, some people like to use the bencher. Some people know the benching off by heart. In all events, when you come to make the blessing over the wine, which hopefully at some point you'll be familiar with enough to be able to say it without looking into the siddur, so then you should look at the wine, right? And that's the way to do it. When you come to make Kiddush, there's an interesting halacha which I'm sure you've all seen and you're familiar with, although you may not know the reasons behind it, and that is that the challahs should be covered when Kiddush is made. Yeah. Now, the reason for that is because under normal circumstances, you make hamoitzi first. We normally eat bread, right? If it wasn't Shabbat or Yom Tov and you were having a meal, and in your meal you were going to have wine, how would you do it? You would first wash your hands and make hamoitzi, and then during the meal you would make a blessing over the wine, right? But because for Kiddush we have this special idea from the rabbis, from the sages, that we should make Kiddush over wine, so we cover the challahs in order to respect them, right? They shouldn't become embarrassed. There's a little lesson over here, of course, right? Because if anybody here has ever seen an embarrassed challah, or if you've ever seen a blushing bagel, for example, then I think you probably need professional help. That's just my personal opinion. I often say to everybody, if we truly loved our challahs, if we were truly concerned about their feelings, then we probably wouldn't chop them up into little pieces and eat them, right? We would cherish them, and we would look after them, and we would take them out from time to time and dance with them, maybe.
Pick up the challahs. Like a mighty,
Yeah, sure. You're supposed to pick them up. You're actually supposed to pick them up from the bottom so that all 10 of your fingers are touching the challahs whilst you're making the bracha over them. But we're jumping the gun over here, right? We're Kiddush. The challahs are covered in order that they shouldn't become embarrassed that we're going out of order, right? The correct order is hamotzi, and then during the meal to make bar pia gefen. But because we are making Kiddush over here, so we make the bracha bar pia gefen in order not to embarrass the challahs. We cover them so the challahs don't realize. I guess the challahs don't hear so great, right? Maybe because they're covered, right? Then they don't hear so great, and they can't hear the bracha, so they're not going to get embarrassed. Now, there's the most incredible little lesson over here. I think I've told this story in the past, but it's such a great story. It's worth telling again. There was a very great rabbi in America going back into the 60s and 70s called Rav Shlomo Freifeld, who was considered to be. I mean, he was really the founding father of the Baal Tshuva movement in America. He was a most astonishing personality. He spoke brilliantly. He was charismatic and he was dynamic. And he used to go around all over America to lots of little communities all over the place, trying to give them, strengthen them a little bit and try to get them to be a little bit more aware of their Jewish identity. And wherever he went, he was in great demand because he was the most brilliant speaker. And people used to, fight over having him come by to be their host, to be their guest on Shabbos. So Rav Freifeld told this story. He said that he was once in a little city in America somewhere with a very small Jewish community, and after davening on Friday night, he got taken back by his host back to his host's home in order to eat the Friday night Suda. And the husband knocks on the door and walks in, and it's clear that what has happened is after the wife lit candles, she thought she was going to have a little 5-minute sit down, catch her breath after the Erev Shabbos mayhem. And, that little 5-minute sit down has obviously turned into a 2-hour snooze. And as she hears her husband coming into the house, she, wakes up. She's completely discombobulated. And, the house is a mess. The kids have been, playing and the toys are everywhere. And here is the husband coming in with one of the most influential, important rabbis in America at the time. And the place is a mess. So what does he do? Like every kind, considerate, thoughtful husband, he starts shouting at his wife. And but of course he can't shout at her and tell her off for having gone to sleep because Erev Shabbos she'd worked terribly hard. So what does he do? He finds a bit of halacha that he's shouting at her, telling her, how could you have the challahs on the table? They're not covered and we're coming in now. How could you do such a thing? And Rav Freifeld said to himself, this is ridiculous. The reason why we cover the challahs is so that the challahs won't become embarrassed when we make Kiddush over the wine. And here's this man, right, embarrassing his wife, right, in front of me about the challahs not being covered. He says that's ridiculous. And then he explained, what is this halacha that you're supposed to cover the challahs? What's the idea of it? It's very strange. So he says the idea is that if we can learn to have a little bit of sensitivity for inanimate objects, then who knows, right? Maybe we'll actually get to learn a little bit of sensitivity for animate objects like other people, right? And it's an interesting idea, it really is, because the emes is that sometimes it's a lot easier to, you see people who are very kind and considerate to animals, for example, but they're a lot less kind and a lot less considerate to human beings. And there's something wrong. Right? So the idea is that the more we work on that, the kinder, the more considerate we are to everything around us, the greater, hopefully, will be our ability to be able to be kind and considerate to other people, and maybe not left-handed people, but obviously, there's got to be there is a limit to how kind and considerate a person can be. Rav Hutner, one of the great Jewish thinkers and philosophers and rabbis in the previous generation, when he was a bocher, he was a student learning in yeshiva, and he ended up, I think he was in Berlin, and he saw somebody walking their dog in the streets of Berlin. This is before the war, before the Second World War. And he saw somebody walking their dog in the streets of Berlin, and all of a sudden he picked up his dog and he gave his dog a kiss. And Rav Hutner said that a nation that can kiss their dogs can kill other human beings. They can murder other human beings.
Wow.
They've got their priorities are skewed a little bit. So somebody once pointed out to me something very fascinating. There is a society in England called the NSPCC, which is the National Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Children. We should try not to be cruel to our children. Certainly not in a way that other people can see, for sure, right? The NSPCC, the National Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Children. There is another society called the RSPCA, which is the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. So somebody once pointed out to me, isn't it fascinating, in England, the children, it's just a national society. But for prevention of cruelty to animals, it's a royal society. Right? It's an interesting, I don't know, it's a perspective. How do you look at things? It's an interesting idea. Just a little bit of food for thought. I don't know, right?
Rabbi Hutner say that, by the way. That's I never.
Because I think the idea again that a person has a connection, a person who has connection with their pets, it's fine, right? But when that connection transcends and it becomes like a human connection,
To kill.
so he says at that point their priorities are so skewed that they'll go out of their way to save their animals, but they won't. The humans.
Is there not room for both? Like I had a connection with an animal, but I'm equally connected.
How long have you been feeling like this?
Have you not had a pet dog before?
I have actually.
Yeah.
Here, you didn't hear what I just said out here. Rav Hutner is not suggesting that having a relationship with a pet of some kind or an animal of some kind, there's anything wrong with that.
They're God's creatures. We should be treating them with.
For sure. But I mean, the Torah itself says that you have to treat animals properly, right? The tzala balei chayim, which is not to. That's the real RSPCA, right? Is the Royal Society, God, right, of Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, which it's a commandment. That's what we're supposed to do, that's for sure. What Rav Hutner was commenting on was the way that this person's relationship had transcended from being that of a person to an animal to almost, he was treating his pet dog as if it was another person. And that means that priorities have become skewed to the point where it's not, things don't... Here, another example. I don't want to get involved in a debate over here, but there are people who are against animals being used for research. Now, if you ask me, I think that animals should not be used for any kind of research other than medical research, which is going to help make people healthy. I think it's ridiculous, and I think it's terrible that animals are used for research, for example, in shampoo or makeup, that they have to suffer terribly sometimes, right? In order for what? In order that we should have the right smelling shampoo. That's ridiculous, right? But if anyone here has diabetes, or if you know anyone that has diabetes, you'll know that insulin was tested on dogs before it was given to human beings, because you can't test this stuff on human beings, and you've got to test it on something to make sure that it works. Which I think that medical research is very different from other kinds of research, I really do. But there are some people who are very radical in their belief that animal rights, and they are prepared to blow up research laboratories that are using animals, right, putting human life at danger in order to save animal life. Now, again, I not to get involved in a debate over here, but somewhere along the line, to me, it seems that a perspective has been lost. Something like there's an imbalance over here.
I'm keeping my mouth shut.
Good, that's great. Because
I have a lot of thoughts about this. I was a vegetarian for 13 years.
Good. Again, I have nothing against vegetarianism.
No, I know. I just think it's like the whole thing is a little skewed.
I think a lot of things are skewed. I really do. I think a lot of things are skewed inside of our food chain. I think a lot of things are skewed as well. But
I don't think it's quite like that.
But I still see a difference between, again, medical research on, as opposed to any other kind of research that's using animals, which is causing terrible, terrible pain and suffering to the animals, for no reason whatsoever. There's this fellow was driving a horse and wagon, and a car came careening around the corner and smacked into him. And he's now suing the car driver in court. And the lawyer of the car driver says, I don't understand, what are you suing, why are you suing my client over? You say that you spent 6 months having to wear a neck brace afterwards, right? But isn't it true that when the police came and they asked you how you were feeling straight after the accident, you said you were feeling fine? So how come all of a sudden now you're claiming hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of damages? It's obviously the whole thing is just a scam. So the wagon driver says, I'll tell you what happened. He says the police arrived, a policeman gets out of the car, and he walks over to my dog, which had been in the car crash and had broken its back, and it's whimpering on the side of the road. So he takes out his revolver, and he killed it. Blew its brains out. Then he comes over to my horse, which has got a broken leg, takes one look, and he blows its brains out. And then he came over to me and said, how do you feel? I said, just fine. Just fine. Anyway.
I've also heard a practical reason for why we cover challah.
Yeah.
Which is that we shouldn't be accustomed to making Kiddush first when we can see challah on the table.
Good. Yeah, very good. We need to know that what we're doing is out of the ordinary.
Right.
Right? For sure. Which means that you shouldn't come to imagine that every time when you have a meal during the week and no Kiddush is being recited, but you want to have a glass of wine, that you shouldn't imagine that you should make the Borei Pri HaGefen over the wine and then make hamoitzi. Good. Right? Another reason that's brought is because the manna, the two challahs represent the manna that was delivered on Erev Shabbat, and it came covered underneath and on top. Right, it says covered with dew, right? It had dew on the bottom and dew on the top, and the dew on the bottom was to keep it clean, and the dew on the top was to keep it fresh, and that's why the challahs are normally brought on a challah board, which is a bit on the bottom, and covered by a challah cloth on the top, just to give you some kind of a visual representation. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but there are some people that have the custom to put a challah cloth underneath the challahs and a challah cloth on top of the challahs as well. Right, again, to represent the dew, not just relying on the challah board itself, but to put something else over there as well. Whatever.
Could it just be so that it's they're not just any old loaves of bread. These are the challahs for Shabbat, so it's kind of beautifying.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, again, for sure, once you've got the custom that you're supposed to cover the challahs, what are you going to cover it with? That's why you'll find in many homes very ornate challah covers. Again, everyone according to their own taste. So some people like, velvet ones with lots of silver thread, right? And some people like them made out of leather, and some people made them like out of this and out of that, and out of all kinds of things, right?
Did we finish Kiddush? And did we get sidetracked on?
No, we're still in Kiddush. Okay, just one last halacha. I mean, again, because it's part of the halachas of Kiddush that the challahs have to be covered. That's why it's over here. Yeah. Just one last halacha for today, which is definitely connected to the concept of what we just spoken about. According to some opinions, not just the challahs need to be covered before Kiddush, but any kind of mezonot needs to be covered as well. So that's less of a problem on Friday night because there normally isn't any mezonot on the table anyway, right? It's just the challahs. Mezonot is the bracha that you make over cake or cookies or crackers, right? that kind of, anything made with 5 grains, with one of the 5 grains, yeah? Pasta, couscous, all that kind of stuff. Now, when you go to a Kiddush after shul, for example, on Shabbos morning, very often everything is out on the table already, and there are cakes and cookies and crackers, and it's all out over there. According to some opinions, the same way that you're supposed to cover the challahs before you make the Borei Pri HaGefen, so too you should cover the mezonot as well, because in the order of the blessings, you should normally make a mezonot first, and then only then make the bracha over the wine. Now, this may come as a little bit of a surprise to some of you, because if you go to Kiddushim, regularly after shul, you'll find that most places don't do that. Most places don't cover the mizonot. They don't cover the rogalach and the biscuits and the cakes and everything. They're normally uncovered. So you should know that if you do go somewhere and you see that people are busy covering them up, that's where it comes from. Good. I think we're going to stop over here in Mitzvah Hashem. And Mitzvah Hashem, tomorrow we'll come back to the idea of Kiddush itself, right, and the drinking of the wine, how much wine needs to be drunk, all of the practical dimensions that are going together with it.